Don't let them in. That's what I learned too late. Our mother, Donna, was slowly consumed by addiction, her presence fading bit by bit. She rocked herself to sleep each night, sinking deep into the mattress, leaving behind pieces of herself. When her back teeth fell out, she left them on the edge of the bathtub. I was 7, so I kept them safe in a matchbox, believing that someday we could put her back together. Our house crumbled around us, but my sister Cora made it a home. She became our anchor in the chaos. Cora mothered me. She patched my bruised knees with uneven bandages and served lukewarm microwave meals. She told me ghost stories and let me sleep in her bed when fear kept me awake alone. She taught me to dance, barefoot on the living room carpet, our hips shaking to the music channel's loud beats before we were fully grown. Cora always let me shower first so I could have hot water, never complaining when she had to make do with cold. She brushed my hair every day before school, even when I screamed and hit her to untangle the knots. Cora had dark hair like our father, whoever he had been, but I was blonde. Cora desperately wanted to be blonde too, like Marilyn Monroe. Maybe she thought it would bring her closer to Mom, remind Donna less of her father. I'd give anything for her hands in my hair one more time, even if it hurt. When I turned 18, Cora moved to New York and never came back. I still dream about her sometimes. Keeping up with Donna was impossible. From a young age, we learned we would always be left behind. When she drank lightly, she shone brightly, waking us at 3 a.m. with pancakes dripping in cherry syrup. Sometimes, if the weather was right and Donna had enough of being drunk alone, she'd call our school, claim we were both sick with summer sickness, and drive us to the beach instead. At 9, I remember returning home after an ocean day, sand stuck in the frosting of my birthday cake, tasting sweetness and the sea. From behind, I couldn't tell who was mother and who was daughter, the radio up and windows down, blending the sky inside the car. When Donna drank heavily, she was gone all night, hair piled up like a beauty queen's, eyes glazed over and ringed with black. Sometimes she was gone for days without a word, leaving behind an empty house and a fridge packed full of food. She'd never tell us when she'd return. Sometimes she'd bring strangers home, turning our living room into a smoke-filled haze with beer cans and ashtrays scattered everywhere. We'd sleep with pillows over our heads, drowning out the music that blasted until dawn, waking up to strangers at our kitchen table asking where we kept the coffee. When Donna drank too little, she fell apart completely. She wouldn't buy food, chain-smoked, leaving cigarette burns on the wallpaper by the stairs like the house itself was sick and decaying. Once, I spilled juice on the couch. Without a word, Donna dragged me onto the carpet, took every cushion off the couch, and set them on fire in the backyard. Cora watched from the window before sitting beside me on the floor, our backs against the skeleton of the seats, heads resting in the crater of my collarbones. When Donna drank too much, it was the worst. She'd laugh too loudly and too long at anything and everything, until her mouth shook and she started crying into her cereal at the breakfast table. Cora shut down during those times, escaping into old black and white movies, whispering lines she knew by heart like prayers. When I was 5, I'd cry finding Donna passed out cold on her bed, sure she'd never wake up. Cora would wipe my tears and tell me Donna was just sleeping, like the princesses in my storybooks. We'd sit on Donna's bed together, waiting for her to wake up. As we grew older, I was the one who had to pick Donna up off the bathroom floor again and again, while Cora put her back to bed, smoothing her hair and cleaning her up. Watching them, there was no doubt that Cora had become the mother now. It was October, and I was 13. Cora was 16. It was a Wednesday night, and Donna had been gone for 2 days. She called us that morning from a payphone, her voice slurring as she said she was having the best time with her new friends and hoped we were doing fine. When Donna asked if I was having a good birthday, I hung up on her. My birthday had been the day before. Cora had given me a pile of presents, strawberry lip glosses and glittery nail polishes. I didn't ask where she got the money. I didn't care. We took the bus to the beach with Tessa, ate the birthday cake Cora had made for me, sand getting into the frosting. It tasted like sweetness and the sea. We watched the sun go down, Cora snapping grainy photos on her old phone as I blew out my candles, wishing over and over that Donna wouldn't come home, that she'd just stay gone this time. But that Wednesday night, Cora and I weren't speaking. Anger hung heavy between us, seeping through the floorboards. It began when Cora tripped at the bottom of the stairs. We laughed, but then I caught the smell of whiskey on her breath. I couldn't watch her become Donna. I couldn't watch her fall apart again and again, just like Mom. I stared at her, seeing Donna's shadow in her, and then I was running, my feet slamming the hallway like heartbeats turned loose. I ran to the kitchen and tipped every bottle down the sink, shoving Cora back as she fought to stop me, catching liquor on her fingers as it fell. She grabbed my shoulders and made me drop the last bottle, which smashed on the floor, glass shards glittering like broken stars. Outside, the sky turned pale gold, clouds smeared in pink and cream. I cried, watching Cora on her knees, always trying to fix things, even when it was too late. The smell of food dragged me from my room, my stomach a traitor inside my ribcage. Cora was cooking pasta, real food, not microwaved. She set the table, Tammy Wynette singing softly, gently swaying her hips as she stirred the tomato sauce, rich and warm. As we ate in silence with every bite, I forgave her a little. Donna never cooked dinner, never remembered my favorite was spaghetti, or stayed sober long enough to sit up at the table. Cora wasn't Donna. We were washing dishes when we first heard it. A moth was crawling down the inside of the pane, so I cracked the window to let it out into the dark. From the backyard came a faint sound, crying. I thought it was Noah, the 2-year-old next door, having a tantrum, or maybe Shadow, the stray cat begging for food. Cora flipped the Christmas lights around the porch, and we sat on plastic beach chairs watching the skies. When we were little, she'd tell me the names of constellations, making up ridiculous stories for the shapes we saw. Of course, I replied, waving my hands and pointing past the power lines. Right next to the ashtray, left there by angels on a smoke break. Yeah, they say if you wish on it, all your dreams will come true, Cora grinned. She stopped laughing, her voice quieter, her face tilted up to the dead stars. Let's wish, May. Let's wish, she whispered. The sound of crying interrupted us. It was closer this time, definitely human. We turned to each other, confused. Cora shrugged and I squinted into the blackness. I thought it must be Noah wandering around, or Shadow the cat. But then I stepped off the porch to see. In the bushes by the back fence was a person, crouched with their knees tucked up neat under the chin, arms wrapped around legs. Their mouth hung wide, softly opening and closing as they cried, like a child lost in the dark. Not a child, but someone pretending, mimicking the sound in the blackness. Suddenly, they snapped upright, too thin to be normal. Panic surged through me, instinct from our days living in trees pushing me forward. I was faster than Cora, dragging her inside and slamming the door behind us. We watched as the person slowly walked towards the house, steps deliberate and long. Cora reached for my hand, holding me tight. Don't turn around, May. Don't turn around. Instinctively, I wanted to look back, but she grabbed my face, shaking my head hard. A soft tap-tap-tapping filled the silence. Cora turned to the window, her eyes wide with fear. It was the sound of someone's forehead against the glass, slowly, over and over. They started to speed up, faster and harder, slamming into the window until it cracked and shattered with a loud slam. The tapping stopped, and before I could ask if I could look, Cora screamed, followed by the sound of cracking glass and the loudest slam yet. Whoever was in our yard had just smashed their face into the window hard enough to break it. We ran upstairs, skipping the rotted steps on instinct. I turned once, but Cora yanked my face back before I could see. The sound of broken glass echoed as we made it to the bathroom, locking the door behind us. Inside, we were trapped. Cora threw her back against the door, feet against the bathtub, clutching a knife she grabbed from the kitchen. I did the same, shoulder to shoulder. Slow footsteps began on the stairs, deliberate and casual. The crying had become mocking, almost laughter, shrill bursts of sound followed by giggles. The first door on the upstairs floor, the bedroom, slammed open. They were looking for us. What the fuck is going on, I thought. Cora picked herself up, bracing her hands on the door as we heard a second door slam open. Donna's room, and then the bathroom next door. Cora pulled me to my feet and handed me the knife. I shook my head, terrified of what I might have to do. But Cora shoved me, pressing the knife into my hands, her thumb pressing hard enough to make me bleed. I watched her blood drip down her wrist, winding a red road into my hands despite the pain. Something slammed against the wall shared by Donna's room and the bathroom. A high-pitched wail followed. I held my breath, feeling my heart pounding frantically in my throat. "I'm gonna get the phone from my room," I tried to protest. Cora clamped a hand over my mouth, forcing me to stay silent. Her phone was upstairs, charging. A soft tap-tap-tapping filled the silence. Cora turned to the window, her eyes showing her fear. It was the sound of someone's forehead against the glass, repeatedly slamming until the window cracked. The tapping stopped and Donna screamed, followed by the sound of cracking glass and a loud slam. Whoever was in our yard had just smashed their face into the window. We ran upstairs two at a time, skipping the rotten steps instinctively. I turned once, but Cora yanked my face back before I could see. Broken glass echoed as we reached the bathroom, locking the door. We pressed ourselves against the door, clutching the knives, shoulder to shoulder. Slow footsteps started on the stairs, deliberate and casual. The crying had become mocking, almost laughter, shrill bursts of sound followed by giggles. The first door on the upstairs floor, the bedroom, slammed open. They were looking for us. A second door slammed open, Donna's room, and then the bathroom next door. Cora pulled me to my feet, handing me the knife again. Cora insisted I get her phone from her room to call the cops. I wanted to argue, but she forced me, pressing the knife into my hands. Blood dripped onto my skin, mixing pain with fear. The door was kicked in, but it wasn't a monster or a figure. It was the police. They dragged me out of the bathroom, past the shattered door covered in claw-like scratches, through a hallway strewn with ripped pillows like snow. Outside, police cars and an ambulance surrounded our house. In the midst of the chaos stood Cora, bathed in the blue and red lights, her face lit up like a neon angel. I ran to her, holding us both together, broken pieces and all. Gentle screams came from the ambulance, rocking it occasionally. Cora gently turned my head away, smiling sadly as I understood. There was no demon, no wild animal, no bad men trying to break in. It was Donna, our mother, lost to a week-long binge of booze and drugs. Something inside her had finally broken, and this time we couldn't put her back together no matter how hard we tried. Cora had seen her in the garden, blood dripping from her mouth, track marks bulging on her forearms like unmapped roads, rail-thin and desperate for one more hit, one more fix. She'd hunted for the stash Donna had hidden, driven by desperation. High enough Donna could mimic Cora's voice almost perfectly. The real monsters aren't always supernatural. They're addictions and heartbreak, the slow erosion of someone you love. We loved Donna, but she let that darkness in, and it devoured her. In the end, we learned a harsh truth. It's up to you whether you open the door or keep it locked against the monsters wearing familiar faces. Sometimes you fall one last time and never get back up. And the real horror is knowing that the monsters that hurt you the most are the ones you invited in willingly. Don't let them in.